Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello everybody, welcome to one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, and this week joining us from Hungary is Nikoletta Tátar. Hi Nikoletta, welcome to the show.
Hi Vasco, thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. I very often mispronounce people's last name, so what would be the right pronunciation for your last name?
Your pronunciation was perfect, so I'm very impressed. I would pronounce it the same. Yeah.
Very good. Well, that doesn't always happen, so I guess I'll give myself a kudo card for pronouncing your name correctly. So Nikoletta is an Agile coach who is passionate about creating an environment where teams and individuals have the space to grow, deliver awesome products to customers, and have fun doing so. She's also Collaboration Superpowers facilitator, holding workshops online about remote working and collaboration. So Nikoletta, that was a short intro to you and what you do. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up becoming a Scrum Master?
Yeah, so my journey is, I think, not the average journey to become a Scrum Master. So originally, I was studying mechanical engineering, and I only ended up working in IT because of a summer job, or at that time, I thought that it's going to be a summer job for me. So I started working as a technical writer in a telecommunication company doing software documentation, which was something totally new for me. So I didn't have an experience in telecommunications. I didn't have an experience in software development. But as my formal boss explained it to me, technical writing is about explaining complex problems to users in a very simple way so they can understand it. So I tried my best to do that, and I'm a very curious person and enjoy that job a lot. But as time passed by, I noticed more and more about the software development aspects of that job, and I wanted to understand the process better. I wanted to get to know the people I work with better. I wanted to see their roles and job and help them as much as I can. So I kind of spotted myself leaning toward the Scrum Master role because that was something I felt that would be very natural to me with my interests, with my personality. So I kind of decided that I wanted to become a Scrum Master, but around that time, it was really hard to start without a software development experience, because around that time, every Scrum Master was a former software developer. So I started to read a lot. I started to read books. I started to talk a lot with people about this job, and the opportunity presented itself in a junior Scrum Master role at a different company where the company owners were looking for somebody who didn't have any prior experience because they wanted somebody to start fresh. So no prior knowledge, like a blank canvas to draw on. So this is how I ended up as a junior Scrum Master after working almost 5 years with Scrum teams before as a technical writer.
Yeah, that's definitely not the average story of a Scrum Master, although it is a little bit the accidental Scrum Master story we've heard quite a few times as well. For me, what's interesting is that you know, at some point you found out that, okay, this is the role I want to take. And very often in what you call the average story of the Scrum Master, we only find that out after we have done that role for a while. And certainly that was the case with me.
Yeah.
But Nikoletta, now we'll talk about a story of failure. And we want to explore that because, of course, there's a lot of learning within that story. So share that story with us. Share that story of a moment where you, as a Scrum Master, you struggled. And of course, you learned a lot. But first, let's hear about the struggle.
Yeah. So if I can say, this is the favorite part of the podcast for me. So I, for a really long time, suffered because I never heard about people's failures in this position. And there were no blog posts describing how people failed in this or that. So for a long time, I thought that, oh, okay, it's just me. So everybody's super successful and this is just me who cannot figure things out. But then I realized that, okay, people just don't talk about these things because they, I don't know, they don't want to celebrate their failures. So this is like, I love this question. And I had so many, it sounds funny to say that I had so many failures, but it's true. So every project and with every team, I felt that I had moments of failure. But the question was the most difficult situation. So I think the most difficult situation as an Agile coach or Scrum Master, if you end up working at a project or with teams or in an organization who is not ready to become Agile. So the motivation for organizations to invite a consultation company or employ a Scrum Master is very varied. And sometimes they only want the label, but they don't want to do the work. And I think it's very important to spot these organizations, because if you're a true professional who loves this job and who want to help the teams and want to teach people about Agile and want to see a wonderful product, valuable software shipped to the customers, then you're going to struggle if the environment is not the right one.
So, Nikoletta, let's explore that. In your own experience, what do organizations that are only interested in the label, as you said, look like? What do they do? How do people react? What were those things that you faced and then, of course, came to the conclusion that they were just seeking the label?
Yeah, it's a complex thing. So, but some telltale signs is when it's not something top down and bottom up. So I feel that we need drive from both directions. So both the higher ups, management, owners need to understand why they want agility or like an agile way of working in their company. And the people, the Scrum teams, the development teams, and everybody. So throughout the organization, they need to have an understanding how they can help it and why they do it. And I think one thing is easy to spot. So if the organization is operating in a very unique field where they don't have competition on the market, and I don't want to be more specific than that, then you don't have that outside drive why you would need Agile, I think.
Yeah. In my own experience, large successful companies, meaning that they are not in trouble, even though they might have competition, they still don't feel that drive. I mean, I very much remember working specifically in media and banking companies where it was clear that the teams wanted to go agile, but there was really no drive, no willingness to take on the consequences of changing how we manage those teams, how we organize the delivery of software.
Exactly. Yeah. So market leaders have these problems often. They will have problems in the future, I guess, because if you're not operating if you're not agile in a complex environment, then somebody is going to create a new company in that sector, and you're going to have competition in the end. So, yeah.
I think it's very important for us to talk about some of those stories, right? Like, Facebook didn't exist a few years back, and Alta Vista was the search engine that the world used until Google came along, and everybody was going to bookshops before Amazon, and like Netflix killed the video rental business. Like these are all great examples of how certain businesses that look secure and feel secure maybe even may just disappear because of the changes. I mean, I remember working at Nokia in 2011 and clearly understanding that, okay, something is going to happen here. But many of my colleagues were completely adamant that Nokia would never suffer any big setback because they were so successful and there was so much money coming in, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And of course, 4 years later, famously sold to Microsoft, and a few years, or actually sold to Microsoft in 2011. Then 4 years later went bankrupt. So that's the idea that these are stories we can share with our organization. But at the end, I agree with you. If our organization does not want to change, there's very little we can do.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that story, Nikoletta.
Thank you.
Monday is about what we learn from our obstacles and our failures. But tomorrow is Team Tuesday here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. We explore teams and their journeys, the habits they develop that threaten their performance, how each of our guests help their teams evolve, and the one key lesson they learned from that experience. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.